Let's start with Bulls money line, actually. New York Knicks on a back-to-back after a big win versus the Kings, now taking on Chicago. Watts, you think the Bulls are going to get the win outright? Why do you like Chicago here?
I mean, you laid out part of it. Knicks are on a back-to-back traveling to Chicago. Historically, the Knicks have been great on back-to-backs under Tibbs. They're 28-19-2 against the spread. But this season, they're just 4-7 on back-to-backs. I also just think partially this is a banged up Knicks team. We have Josh Hart on the injury report last night. He ended up playing. He played well, but the minutes are going up and up. I mean, Tibbs is basically playing playoff rotations right now.
Yeah.
Do you want to guess in the last 5 games how many Knicks players are top 10 in minutes per game?
I will say
it's not that crazy, but
I'll say 4.
3. Still. So we have Deuce
He's
McBride.
slacking. Tibbs is getting soft in his old age.
I actually thought it was going to be more.
It's such a high bar that, Matt, it looked like you were about to say 6, which I think might be physically impossible. But that was like where your mind goes with
Yes,
Tibbs.
my mind was like, can 6 players? I was like, what if, I don't know, maybe some guy was out. All right, go ahead.
Overtime, maybe, yeah. So Deuce McBride, 43.8 minutes per game. Josh Hart, 41.4 minutes per game. And Dante DiVincenzo, 39.6 minutes per game. And that's actually top 7, those 3. So I gave them a nice round number of top 10, but those are top 7 numbers. We also saw the Bulls lose last game to the Knicks in the Garden. And they just recently lost one of the Hawks. So I expect them to, they're locked into the play-in basically, but I don't expect them to necessarily take tomorrow off. Whereas the Knicks, as much as they're fighting for their seeding, it's just a bad spot for them. They're playing their 4th and 6th. In addition to that back-to-back 3rd and 4, they need to really just Tibbs needs to pump the brakes is really what it is. And he's not going to do that. That's not a very Tibbsy thing to do. So I'll take the Bulls as short dogs. I'll just go money line. I think it's -1 on the spread, but just give me the money line.
So here's the problem. I would say with this bet. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that you have to remember that Chicago I always look at these teams in terms of win profiles, and the same kind of teams pop up year after year after year. Like you can kind of fit their win profiles into a certain type of team. Here's Chicago. They fucking hate prosperity. They hate it when something good happens to them. They're like, oh, if they're up against it, and it's like, oh man, 5-7 for Chicago on the road, big dogs. Chicago won? But they're at home. Here's a great stat. At home, the Bulls versus the team on a back-to-back. So when Chicago's at home and the opponent is on a back-to-back, they're 3-6 straight up and ATS. So Chicago has been bad in this kind of condition. But to your point, the Knicks haven't been good this year either, weirdly. And they are gassed. That's evident when you watch the games. So the Knicks are just like dragging themselves to the finish line. They need to get themselves into a seat and rest a little bit. We talked about the Knicks' chances in the first half of the show. If you check out youtube.com/the Action Network, you can catch our conversation on that. Jim, do you have thoughts on this play?
Yeah, I was eyeing this game. I am, I'm in my futures mode right now of all the future plays are about to like come down to the wire here. So I was on it. In all honesty, I was looking like, should I hedge out with the Knicks because I have a Bulls over 38.5. I don't know if they're going to quite get there. So I honestly wasn't breaking down this game. Look at the schedule right now. We don't need to be a broken record here, but it's just so funny looking at the injury reports. And it's just such a tricky time to bet into the league right now on spreads and totals because things can change last second. So I do think that this is a Knicks team that is a little bit more worn down than the injury report even really shows, which maybe harkens back to our conversation, from the first half of this show. But I honestly, it's kind of a stay away for me in general. These are two teams that, have motivation, but also at the same time, I could, see, Bulls let down, like you said, in these prosperity spots, but also a banged up Knicks team. So this is a stay away for me.